Well, we are now 25 days, 15 hours, 59 minutes, and a couple of seconds away to the presidential elections. And as day becomes night, many say they cannot wait to get it over and done with. Well, political activities appear to be picking up, with accusations and counter-accusations also featuring again in the polity, to the extent that they accuse themselves of throwing everything but the kitchen sink. Good evening. Welcome to Nigeria 2015. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Well, all sense of reasoning are challenged at this time. Well, at the moment, Ebonyi State House of Assembly are talking about impeaching the governor, while some residents did hit the street earlier today in protest to that planned action. And then there's a purported undated resignation letter said to have been signed. And then you have an alleged plan of the federal government shopping for Jegan's replacement. Plus, INEC in Ogun say they have discovered some 555 permanent voter cards belonging to dead residents. Yes, dead residents, all making the news. Well, we'll also make our rounds today with some of our correspondents who will bring us up to the minutes concerning what's happening at their location.
I'm Emmanuel Ere, reporting from Port Harcourt, the River State capital. There are more concerns over the increase in kidnap cases in the state.
Well, we'll also plan to hook up with some others as the program progresses. We will also turn to the social media. Our web team provides several platforms for you to air your views on the program. You can tweet at us using the hashtag Nigeria2015. You can also hashtag DemandDebateNow, where that seems to be making the rounds lately. Well, please use the Twitter handle you see on your screen at the moment. Well, if you have comments or questions, do send us an email, and that will be at Nigeria2015@channelstv.com. You can also send us pictures through our Eyewitness platform. Now, here's how to go about that. What you have to do is just download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. And then you go ahead and tap the Eyewitness menu and then follow the instructions you see on the platform. Well, joining us tonight, first from our Abuja studios, Professor Chidi Odinkalu of the National Human Rights Commission. He will be on hand to shed light on some of the matters going on today. Well, he will join us much later today. But then today, the quest for violence-free polls continue unabated. Well, some recent figures released by the NHRC raises a lot of concern. Many are concerned, wondering, wait a minute, are these things actually happening? Let's take you through the touch screen now and show you some of those highlights, those figures that raises some of those concerns at the moment. And so the ones you see on your screen happen to be those of 2011 post-election violence. And then in 2011, 943 persons are said to have been killed in the post-election violence in the country at that time. That generated huge controversies, and then there was a panel that was set up to look into some of those matters with a view to ascertaining the cause and then proffer solutions to some of these matters. And then let's go ahead and show you some of the other items. As a matter of fact, well, it was much later that they went into peace accords. Several of them did pop up in the country in different parts. In Lagos, for instance, you had some of the leading aspirants, candidates they are now, from their respective parties, going ahead with some other prominent Nigerians, putting pen to paper saying, we will ensure that we perhaps tell our supporters also to embark on non-violence elections. After that happened in Lagos, and then there was this one that also took place. So that is in Kaduna, and then you also had the leading candidates in Kaduna also signing that peace accord. And then you had in Gombe, while they were in Gombe, you had the Gombe State Peace Accord. Ibrahim Hassan Dankwambo of the People's Democratic Party Alhaji Inuwa Yahya of the APC was said to be absent. Okay. But then there was this other one in Ogun State. In Ogun State, we had 3 of them who participated in that one. Boyegad Nasir Isiaka of the People's Democratic Party, Ibekele Amosu of the APC, and Senator Akin Odunsi of the Social Democratic Party. They pledged that they were going to ensure that they and perhaps their supporters conduct themselves decently in that elections. There was also that in Taraba. In Taraba, Dairos Shishaku of the People's Democratic Party and Senator Aisha Al-Hassan of the other party who participated in that one. And then there was also that of River State, the Kuku Petiside, Nyesom Wike and Tonya Princewell in Rivers. I know some will have comments to make about this particular incident, but we'll come to that as the program progresses. So let's move on to the next one now, talking about violence and how to sort all of those out. And then there was this breakdown that the NHRC did put together. They did a study trying to ensure that hate speeches, they investigate and see how they ensure or contribute their quota to ensuring that people are reined in line to all of those. So they released this document, which went from the 3rd of December 2014 to 31st January 2015. Well, therein, they had 22 states were affected in that, and then 58 deaths as at the time that that was published. But thousands were injured in the Southwest, as a matter of fact, unfortunately so. And look at this incidents of election violence. Remember, from the 3rd of December 2014 to 31st of January, yeah, some things might have changed, but this is the report that was released at the time. And so in Lagos, look at that figure. They happen to rank high, surprisingly to a lot of people. Perhaps they go about their activities thinking, oh no, maybe we don't have that much violence. But look at that. 11 is the number of incidents that occurred in Lagos and 22 casualty figures. That's according to the NHRC. To the next one now, because after Lagos is Kaduna. In Kaduna, they had 3 cases, incidents, and then the casualty figure was 9. So it drops from Kaduna to Gombe. In Gombe, 3 incidents, 5 casualty figures, the NHRC says. Then Ogun State, 2 incidents and 4 casualty figures for that one. And then Taraba. Taraba had 1 incident, but they had 4 casualty cases, as a matter of fact. And then in Rivers, 6 incidents, casualty figures nil. Remember, the timeline is from 3rd December 2014 to 31st of January. And then you also have that of Akwa Ibom State, where they had 2 incidents, 3 casualty figures for those who were caught up. Kano also had 2 and 2 casualty figures, according to that report. Edo, 2 and 2 casualty figures also. Plateau, the number of incidents there, 4 casualty figures, nil in Plateau State. And so, having published all of these figures, the NHRC did say, yes, this is the challenge that they've got. But you know, in spite of all of those, it wasn't long ago, that peace accord that was signed, you had the APC presidential candidate and that of the PDP in that accord speaking up. The APC candidate, General Muhammadu Buhari, did say, any act of violence can only complicate the security challenges in the country. Yeah, we've seen this one. And then he went ahead and concluded that quote saying, it also provides further justification to those who would want to exploit every situation to frustrate the democratic process. The president also speaking that the incumbent, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, who has been quoted several times with this one saying his second-term ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. So perhaps giving a message to all of those who perhaps may want to challenge or may want to just champion their cases, both candidates now saying, look, you do not have to engage in this. But we see them sign this accord, but what happens in the field is something completely different. But then let's take your memory back a little bit. Our correspondent, State House correspondent Chukwuma Negusi, did put a report together while that piece of code, remember that picture, that image that resonated, was almost in every media outlet, even the social media, about the president and those candidates who were leading their parties were present and they signed this accord. Let's take a look.
It was an event that brought together all the presidential candidates, including the two major gladiators in the February presidential elections, President Goodluck Jonathan and General Muhammadu Buhari. They had to put off the campaigns to sign this accord to abide by the rules and shun violence in all its ramifications. Dr. Kofi Annan is still in the country. He joins other speakers to remind the presidential candidates of their responsibilities, which includes how to fix Nigeria's problems and not inflammatory statements.
I know that you have the power in this room to influence what candidates and supporters do and say in the weeks ahead. I hope you will use that power to focus attention on your party's policies, not the personalities. Let us talk about how to fix Nigeria's problems. The country's unity in diversity must not be undermined by campaigns that seek to exploit either of our two major national fault lines, ethnicity and religion. Any injudicious introduction of these two factors into the contestation for votes in any part of the country would be bound to stoke up flames of violence.
There's no acceptable alternative. There's no plan B for free, fair, and credible elections in Nigeria.
The electoral umpire wonders why elections are prone to violence. He pledged to conduct the elections on a level playing field for all the parties and called on the parties to make an undertaking to also play by the rules.
The attitude and disposition of parties and candidates will determine to a large extent whether we have peaceful or non-violent elections.
Presidential candidate of the APC is running for the fourth time. His experience is harrowing as he calls on the judiciary, the INEC, and political agents to be wary of their conducts.
On paper, you can't catch Nigeria. You can't. You can only catch Nigeria in the field. Practical implementation. Go to any ministry, go to any first data, you will get administrative instruction, how the human beings, the workers, Nigeria should be managed from floor cleaning one to the permanent secretary and to the minister when he eventually gets there.
The audience had an opportunity to know how serious the other presidential candidates are.
We must redeem our political culture. We must redeem our image.
For the incumbent president and presidential candidates of the People's Democratic Party, abusive, provocative, and threats are issues the political leaders should guide against. He also calls on INEC to be transparent. He questioned the character of some politicians and the need for a review of the winner-takes-it-all syndrome in Nigerian politics.
Nigerians will agree with me, since I became a president, have conducted a number of governorship elections, senatorial elections, and others. They are not perfect elections, but they have been reasonably fair. And that's why I say that even the opposition parties should commend me for that. And we promise that we will do more, because I believe that when we conduct our elections must be credible, not just by our own thinking, but everybody must believe that elections are credible.
The signing of the accord was supervised by none other than Chief Emeka Anyoko, an accord